You know when macaroni and cheese actually tasted like macaroni and cheese even before you put anything else in it? Now it is yellow instead of orange. And it just tastes like Ben and Charlie are like...
Tastes like tap water.
No, they're like, there's like not even... Ben's like, there's no remote cheese in there. Charlie goes, the difference between the President's Choice white macaroni and cheese, which she calls her fancy macaroni and cheese, and Annie's, Ben goes, I don't know if it's because I'm so used to the other ones or if the other one has just changed. I'm like, well, it's yellow, so I would say that it changed.
The Annie's one's yellow?
No. Like, Kraft Dinner is yellow now. It's not orange. It's yellow.
I know there was one for the Kraft Dinner.
I know, but it was like... Ben always grabs it when it's really cheap. And then he doesn't eat it. And then it just gets donated to... like one of those charities where they're collecting it, whether it's like the food bank or something like that at Charlie's school. So like in the end, it benefits somebody.
Yeah.
Because I end up donating that. But then I usually try to like find other things on sale that I can donate, even stuff that's like gluten-free or like not like the regular stuff. So maybe that one person who's got that kid who's having a hard time and their kid's celiac too. Like, here you go.
Yeah. I've never been a Kraft Dinner person.
No. I always
not been a mac and cheese person.
I was hardcore mac and cheese and grilled cheese and like all that other stuff, but I remember when like the President's Choice macaroni, white cheddar macaroni and cheese came in a black box, and I thought it was fancy, and I did not realize until I was like significantly older that's just like the house brand, and like some people would be like, oh, that's like the generic. It is so much better. And it makes so much more than macaroni and cheese. Like, than Kraft Dinner.
So when Katie says that it's made for 4 people, little rude, family of 4?
I'm like, what? To sniff?
Oh my God, same with Mr. Noodles. Mr. Noodles says for 2 people.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Which is funny because if you look at a lot of the other, like, noodles that are, you know, not North American, you look at, like, any of the Korean ones, it says 1 person.
Oh, like, what are you going to do halfway through? Here you go.
When I think of people splitting Mr. Noodles, I think of Josie and the Pussycats. And all they have is ramen, and they split one package of ramen between the 3 of them. And we have enough to get ramen.
On that note... What is freaking up? My name is Eve.
My name is Sarah.
And we are Burnt Out Perfectionists.
Yeah.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, everybody.
Which always messes with my head because today is Thursday.
It's okay, I thought today was Wednesday for a short bit, and I was like, okay, our brother will be picked up soon, blah, blah, blah. No. Also, my timing is off today, so.
I thought it was Wednesday, too. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be at work.
Yeah. Oh, crap.
Oh, shit. Yeah. What did you thrive and survive the week?
My kid's done school, which is super awesome. So now,
So your thrive or your survive?
that's my thrive. I love it. I have like a Pinterest board that I've like pinned different ideas of stuff that we can do and everything. And I mean, even if we do some of them, that's great. I'm not aspiring to do every single one of them, but I don't know. I like when she's home and I get to hang out with her and she's not sick, because that's like basically like during the year. The only other time is like if your kid feels like crap that they get to stay home. So
She has a lot of days off.
he does, like, they get pretty days and like spring break and stuff. But I mean, like, other times like where you're like hanging out with them, or they're not like wanting to go to a friend's house, or they'll have a birthday or an activity or something, like you're like, oh, this is fun. I don't know. I'm stoked. I know some parents out there are like, this makes my life even more stressful because like they're not at school, and say there's a shortage in daycare in your area, like that can be stressful too, like depending on your situation and stuff. But and no, I'm super stoked. She's excited to hang out with the dog, and you know, you and Nana and everybody. Like she's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, except she's like, so many people are like, oh, it must be so exciting. Go with your mom. Like you get to sleep in. Charlie's like, no, I don't. My day stays exactly the same.
Well, she can still like sleep here.
She does. Since she turned 7, she can't wake up and then go back to sleep.
It's a shitty thing.
Yeah. Like, it depends. Like, you know, when they, like, fall asleep really early and they're, like, sick or whatever, she might be up for, like, an hour. And then I'm like, hey, like, you got to go back to sleep. And it takes a bit. But, like, I can't wake her up at like 6:15, 6:30 in the morning, get her dressed, and then she like falls asleep on the way here, falls asleep. That will be very, very rare unless it's like super hot outside.
Yeah. It's also because of the amount of light. Like the sun rose at like 4:43 this morning.
Oh, I know. It was so bright outside this morning. And then it was like I was putting her to bed and it was like 8:30. And like you could see the sun through the curtain still. And she's like, "What time is it?" I'm like, "It's 8:30. It's because it's summertime." She goes, "Oh my," she's like, "When did it change again?" I'm like, "It's like June 21st or whatever." And she goes, "Man," like this. And I was like, "I know, but like," because today she's just at her daycare for like 2 days because it was like the kids just want to go have fun and do things and stuff. And I was just like, "Okay." And I'm just like, I know I felt like, "Oh yeah, I'm like, gotta go to bed." And she's like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, I'm sorry. Like, you can't stay up until it gets dark. That's like 11:30 at night, 11:30 at night, midnight that it actually starts getting dark." So, yeah, no, that'll be fine. I've got so many things. Oh, my other Thrive, it's like a minor Thrive, but like she wears a uniform. I've sold most of the pieces off that I had that were like pending from like the beginning of the year and part of last year, which is sweet. And then in turn, there was like some people who were selling things that were new that their kids didn't wear this year. And I'm like, I'll totally buy that because she'll wear that at the beginning of the year and it'll still fit at the end, like shorts and stuff like that. The only thing I have to do is I probably have to order her like the shirts because not a lot of people are selling the size that I'm specifically looking for. But yeah.
To survive?
I survive. All the activities are ending and I am exhausted. Like all the things I was trying to like, my husband looks at me and it was like the day that it was the last day of school.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and he's just like, "You look like, are you tired?" I'm like, "I'm so tired." But like, I don't think a lot of people realize, I'm going to just say like parents in general. I always say like the mom things because I do a lot of the things. But like, there's so many things that you have to factor in, like when you have a kid who goes to school, like, oh, the weather changes. Oh, if they have a spare pair of clothes in case she is too hot, I want to make sure she has sunscreen, sunglasses. You double check their backpack. Then you do spelling and reading with them. And you do that after you pick them up, after you've had your whole day and stuff like that. They've had their whole day. And then there's like, well, I better make sure that I have stuff to pack for snack and for lunch. And then there's like those theme days and there's like so many things or fundraisers that you have to think about. And then on that day, everything just stops. And it's just kind of like, oh my God, like your brain just slowly starts like disconnecting from waking up in a panic and needing to do all that stuff. Or like, oh my God, does she have a clean uniform for today? Oh my God, does she have this? Meanwhile, now I can just wake up and I grab a pair of shorts, grab a shirt. Here you go.
Show up in their pajamas.
And she's good to go. Like, there's so many less factors that, as funny as that is, as like a survive, it's like, it's exhausting knowing that you don't have all the stuff to do. Yeah. Like, you're just kind of like, oh, and like all her activities ended on Sunday. And then she's in like a camp in like within July and then another one at the end of August. So there's those things, but it's other than that, it's kind of like, oh, what are we going to do when we're done? Like, we don't have to go somewhere. We don't have to do this. You know what I mean? I mean, we probably only have like 1 or 2 birthdays in the summer because 2 of her friends' birthdays are then, but it's not like birthday every second weekend, hockey games to go to, hockey practice, or swimming, or like all that stuff. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to have a mildly chill. It might be like chill for me versus chill for other people.
Yeah.
What about you?
Thrive. Our mom liked the bathroom. Anybody want an update?
Yes.
She liked the bathroom.
She literally screamed, "Oh my God, it's like Christmas."
So, if you didn't listen to last week's episode, which you should go back and listen to it, our mom went on a trip for one night, left me alone for 24 hours, and I redid the bathroom. So, I painted the walls, painted the ceiling, painted everything, redid everything, organized the majority of things. Didn't like deep clean, but she said that she was happy to do it. So she came in the next day and she had no idea. I had asked her, I was like, is there anything I'm not allowed to do? And she was like, that scares me. She goes, I know what you're capable of. And so she came home the Friday, like midday. And it was funny because she picked up Sarah's kid and her kid runs in and goes, I need to pee. And I'm like, God damn it, don't say anything, child.
Oh, that's what I did is I was just like, don't say anything out loud. And she runs in and she's like, what? And I was like, oh, yeah, she's not noticing this. It's perfect. To pee. And then she goes, wait a second. Was this always? I'm like, keep your voice down. She's like, oh, that's what you were talking about.
So, because it's very common, if you know moms, they have to pee after every single, they leave the house, they have to pee, they come back home, yes, they have to pee.
Always.
So she comes in and she's like, oh, and I put the air conditioner in and I hung up the curtain rod and she was like, oh my God, thank you for putting up the curtain rod. And that's not the surprise. Why would I overhead putting up a new curtain rod?
Yeah.
So then she walks to the bathroom and she's like, the fuck? And then she's like, oh my God, it's so clean. Oh my God, did you get a new? I literally spray painted the shower caddy that we have in our shower. Everybody thought I walked to, like Jessica or like one of the local stores and got it. And I was like, nope, it's spray painted. And she was super hyped. So that was probably my thrive. I did help my friend reorganize her apartment, which was also a thrive, but I was really happy about the bathroom. Mm-hmm. My survive is I have been waking up for the past 3 days, except for last night, with Charlie horses, which I love so much. So last year, it was really bad too. I know people are probably like, you need to have more potatoes, you need to bananas, because I like that shit.
Just get rid of those mini fridges for your room. Like the itty bitty, like the 6-can.
So, I learned that I just have to take I have to have 5 chugs of some sort of electrolyte drink before I go to bed.
Yeah.
And it was hotter and I was like, it's fine, I don't need to. Last night I remembered to drink the 5 chugs and I did not have Charlie horses. So my thrive is that I survived is that I had Charlie horses. My very first thrive is that I know that I just need to drink more electrolytes during the day. But it is such a fucking piss off. I hate when you wake up and you feel it almost happening and you're like,
yeah.
And her mom was like, my mom will run down and pull my toes up because I can't move.
Yeah.
And she's like, why didn't you do anything? I'm like, I may or may not have stopped breathing for a while. And she's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So that was my survival and thrive.
That's I always have to drink water before I go to bed. Not to wake me up because I will get Charlie horses. Because I when you go to do everyone's like, I don't want, when you get up and you do the big stretch, I do a big stretch. My calves are ready for this bitch. Bam.
Water doesn't do anything for me.
I do water with that calm stuff in it.
Oh, that calm stuff just made me burpy.
Okay, so I only do half a scoop of it. Even on the side, it's you can try the whole thing. If I do the whole thing the next day, all I do is poop.
I did find though that I got this sleep relief pill from the natural food store.
Yeah.
It smells like ass. But
everything in the natural food store smells like ass.
God.
Or celery seeds.
No, it's so bad.
Yeah.
But I take it and then I sleep and I don't wake up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have any melatonin or anything in it. It's pretty good. But yeah. Back to the electrolyte drink.
Ooh! You're I love getting older.
Now, I've had it since I was when I did a law sports. And because I have an active job, I drink more water, but I don't want to.
I know. It was yesterday. I was sitting there. I'm like, oh my God, I feel tired and out of it. I'm like, I literally have not drank any water. And you got that pack of the Owala cups for us. And I've had one just sitting there, ready and raring to go for me. And I was like, just get up and do it. I got up, filled the whole cup, not even kidding, getting down that thing, the whole thing in less than 10 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And then it was 20 minutes later. I'm like, everybody get on my way. I have to pee.
I know. I was like really good about drinking a lot of water. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'll continue drinking water. And then I just get so bored. Like, I know people are like, oh, I drink water. Oh, I love drinking water. And I'm like, I don't like like just the thought of drinking. I'm like,
Oh, soon as I was introduced to Mios is like when I started drinking more water. Which I know it like some people are like that defeats the purpose, which I don't think it does. Like I think I'm still drinking water. I'm not putting 80 pounds of fucking Mio in it, but I just need a little, or those True Lemon and True Lime packages. Those are fucking delicious.
no, I will raise Welch's peach and strawberry water enhancers. Oh, it tastes like a cocktail. Like, it is the most delicious thing ever.
I think I had that. I think it was pretty good. Charlie didn't like it though.
I liked it.
No, Charlie has it. Charlie has a thing. So if you make anything that is with powder, you have to mix it and then you have to let it sit. Oh, okay. I was like, if you let it sit, because she's like, if not, like you could taste the powder. I'm like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, no. What I do is so you fill up your thing with ice.
Yeah.
In a separate cup. Sounds so high maintenance.
Did you mix the thing and then you pour it over top?
No, you do it with a little bit of warm water.
Yeah.
Then I let it dissolve.
Yeah.
And then you put the regular water in halfway, put the syrupy stuff in,
Yeah.
then fill it up with water.
That's what I always did with iced tea when I was younger. The iced tea, like when you open...
Oh my God.
Ice
When
tea
it's just white at the bottom.
No, dude, when you open up the iced tea and it just, that dust, like choke dust just comes out, you're like... when you open it.
Like, I'm sure this is causing cancer, but it's so good.
I'm like, but I love this shit. There's nothing better than a fucking good Host iced tea.
Oh, I'm gonna watch on the Dollarama to see if they have a smaller one, because they usually get the big one from Costco, and it just never ends.
Oh my God. If you end up just getting the bigger one, we should just get containers and split it, because it ends up getting hard halfway through. That's what she said. Yeah, I know.
On this episode of Burnt Out Perfection is building self-confidence from inner doubt to inner strength.
Okay, like I know it sounds cheesy. I was trying to think of like something that was like catchy. I might come up with a different title. May change what the thumbnail looks like. But for the YouTubes, because you know, we have the videos on the YouTubes. The YouTubes.
Tubers.
So like on the topic of self-confidence, obviously like it varies for different people. And it doesn't matter like who you are. At some point, I don't think anyone can confidently say their entire life that they have been confident.
Narcissist.
Yeah, but like realistically, they actually are the most self-conscious because they're
Psychopaths.
Yeah, but like, you know what I mean.
Everyday humans.
Yeah. Importance of self-confidence in varying aspects of life, like knowing your worth and stuff like that. Just like those things. So remember, these are just like personal things based on us. They're not based on other people or whatever, unless like we specifically state that. But we are not medical professionals.
And
there was zero research done into this. I just made a cute little outline for us to follow if we wanted to.
They straight up on us. I was at work yesterday. I sent her a message saying, hey, we should probably record 1 to 2 episodes tomorrow. Probably 1, because I kind of want to go with Dollarama. And then she sent me a note, which like I find like we're pretty balanced of like coming up with.
Especially when I'm like, I've come up with like, I feel like I make my way up to about 10, and then you're like, what do you want to talk about? I'm like, I don't know.
Past couple was, well, sometimes I'll send one and I'll have a list, and it's like the most generic list. It's like gift giving, and I'm like, I should probably like make an outline for that, but I'm like, I don't commit to make an outline.
Yeah.
If like Sarah's like, that is what?
And then you define this for me? Yeah, I mean this. Is that really a whole episode?
It also depends how tired I was when I
Okay, so if you could Google this, the difference between, just so we make sure that we stay on par with this part, self-confidence and self-esteem. Do you want to do self-confidence?
Self-esteem and self-confidence overlap, but they are different. Self-esteem refers to whether you appreciate and value yourself. Your self-esteem develops and changes as a result of your life experiences and interactions with other people. Self-confidence is the belief in yourself and your abilities.
Yeah.
So self-esteem is like, I know I'm a good person. And self-confidence is like, you're going to know I am a good person.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show I believe I'm a good person. And self-esteem is like, I actually know that I'm a good person.
Yeah, because it'll come in different ways. Like, you could know that you're really good at something, but you can still totally doubt that you're good at something.
Yeah.
Or totally downplay that you're good at something.
I feel like this also kind of rolls in. We did see Inside Out 2.
Oh my God, so good. Stay all the way to the ending credits because it's just fucking funny.
But we will not speak on any sort of spoilers. I will note, though, I didn't cry, but the people behind me were bawling.
Really?
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't cry. If made me cry. Oh, God, that movie.
So I want to see it, but I'll probably watch it alone.
I would.
Like, the people behind me, I don't know what was going on with them. Like, it wasn't even like a pivotal part, and all I heard was, oh my God. And I'm like, are you okay?
Well, the funny thing is like, it was like a glimpse into my future. There are so many things that are similar between Riley and my kid that I was like, this is weird. Even she leans over partway through the movie. She goes, this is just getting weird. I was like, right? And it totally reminded me of when we saw Hotel Transylvania.
I was invaded.
She's like, every single one of Eve's nicknames was used. Like, there was things that were like parallel that were like so similar. It wasn't even funny. And we were like, this is weird. Like, it wasn't directly the same, but it was indirectly so similar.
Oh, well, I'll also note, I do love Adam Sandler, and our dad and I used to have a joke that he was like, it was like the Truman Show, and he was watching my life because the amount of movies that he's come out, and like he said nicknames, but it's been like, not just nicknames, it's like color.
Yeah, there's like things where we're like, what the fuck? Does Adam Sandler study our lives and then make hilarious comedies about it?
I just would like to meet you and your lovely wife. She seems like a really great person.
Oh my God. Speaking of amazing wives, I am on the TikTok of all of the Kelsey family members.
Of course you are. You're welcome.
My whole,
Same wife.
I know, I was like, my whole algorithm, and it is just amazing. My favorite is, I love seeing that Taylor gets to be small girl to Travis's big boy. Because he can just pick her up and carry her around. That one chick who's always just so funny. The way she says it, small girl.
Small girl.
Oh my God. Which is funny to mention as someone like that. For self-confidence and self-esteem.
This is like 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah.
And he's 6'4".
Something like that. He's tall.
He's 6'3", 6'4", I think. Watch him be like 5'10" and her be like 5'4", and I'm just like, I think.
No, I know that she's tall. Because I remember one time she messaged her shoe size, and I feel like if her shoe size is anywhere close to mine, she's got to be around. Are we now Googling how tall Taylor Swift is?
5'10".
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm not saying that is Taylor Swift. Wait, how tall Travis Kelce height?
6'4"?
6'5".
Oh, there you go.
Okay, I wasn't like super off.
No, you weren't. You're right around. I figured they were that. Because football players, a majority of them, especially like in his position, are tall.
Majority of them are.
Yeah.
Usually the short ones are like the kickers and the quarterbacks.
And the quarterbacks, they get in and out of that pocket real quick.
My favorite is when like the linebackers or like the centers are there and you're like, oh, they just look little, but like they're obviously bigger and muscular for that, like that reason.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like 6'8". And I'm like, Jesus.
Oh, I love when you see them and they're all standing near each other and you're like, oh, yeah, they're all like the same height. And then you watch like a come in or like a coach and you're like, you could eat them. They are like so small.
Or like the equipment managers when they run over with the water bottles. And
yes. Oh my God. It's so funny. Because the perspective is so off when you're like looking down and when you're watching TV. Because the angles are always down. And then all of a sudden you see everybody in the camera. So you're like, oh shit.
And then they go up to like the audience and they're like, oh, like slide the ball or something. And they put their arm up and it like touches the rail. And I'm like,
I know. I'm always like, oh, are they going to jump and like grab it? And they're just like, yoink. I'm like, oh.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like you're gonna have some fun editing.
Oh, that's fine. The last couple of ones, I haven't really had to take anything out. My brain's not working.
Common challenges with self-confidence. Common challenges people face with building self-confidence, feel of failure.
Yeah. Anxiety.
Negative self-talk, societal pressures. I feel like, though, a lot of self-confidence issues comes from, like, one specific thing. So prior today, Sarah and I were talking about, I grew up with a majority of my friends being either half or full Filipino. And I have always, like, every time I go to their houses, I would always, like, eat whatever food. And if someone makes one comment, like, fresh off the boat, they had, like, one that was like, oh, your food smells weird.
Yeah.
And it, like, makes people shut down. I feel like it's the same thing for self-confidence.
I know, because it'll be part of it, right? Like, there's people who'll be totally fine. Like, my friend that I grew up with, her mom was from the Philippines and her dad was from Canada. And she was always just like, oh, yeah, like, this is what we eat. Like, we would sit, eat food. It was totally fine. And she made, like, a comment one time. She's like, oh, I find it really funny how you don't think it's, like, weird, like, what we eat. I'm like, I don't care. It's food. Like, it's delicious. And one of our other friends, like, we had, like, the atypical, like, 90s snacks out at one of her birthdays. And her mom had made, like, a bunch of, I'm just going to say the regular, like, what more people would relate to. It's like a spring roll. So it's got, like, a bunch of vegetables in it. It's wrapped in a crunchy coating and it's deep fried. And she had some of those out amongst all the, like, regular North American food. I'm talking about, like, hot dogs, burgers, chips, stuff like that. And one of our friends went over and picked it up and was like, what is this? And I was like, oh, it's like a spring roll. And I, like, this is one of those friends who had never had, like, Chinese food or, like, anything that her parents, I don't think, had made, or, like, other, like, kind of just, like, diner type places. And I was like, and she was like, oh, and she, like, bit it. She's like, oh, that's weird. I don't like that. And immediately my friend was like, oh, that's fine. I don't know why she made them anyways. I was like, why did you do that? Your mom just worked so hard to make those. You eat them all the time. Why are you being so weird? And she was just like, well, like, I don't know why she put them out. And I was just like, why are you acting like this? And she was just like, well, sometimes my mom just, like, she'll put stuff like that out. And I just don't know why. I just want to have a birthday like everybody else. And I was just like, your birthdays are way better than everybody else's. First off, your mom goes so fucking hard. Your uncle's here. He, like, works so hard to help with all this stuff. Like, you have, like, your families come, like, all this other, like, this is great. And she was just like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah, I just stopped thinking that way. And she, like, continued to be on and off about that the whole time because she was just like, oh, well, this is kind of embarrassing, or I don't want to do this tradition. And I was just like, yeah, but it's so cool that you have that in your life. Like, just, I don't know, I would embrace it. I ate everything her mom gave me.
But it's like that, like, 1 minute, they're like, oh, everybody likes it, and then that one person's like the rotten apple, and you're like, oh, thank you so much. I was confident, and now I'm not.
Oh, yeah, just, like, those little things where people are like, oh, yeah, I don't eat that. Or, like when people just, like, poke at you. Like, I feel like there's different levels. I mean, I can only relate to, like, the girl side. I'm not saying that guys do not have these issues, because I know for a fact they do. Because when they have a friend that's a girl that they're close to, they tell us all of those things, and you're like, wow, I want to help you. But also, I have my own things to deal with. It's like, I grew up in the early 2000s when I was in, like, in high school and stuff like that, in, like, the 90s. So, like, I went through 85 different technologies. Like, you had to adapt to different things. People being like, oh my God, I got this cell phone. It makes me so cool and so easy to get a hold of. And I'm just like, I have a house phone. It stays in one place and people call me on it. But, like, those, like, constantly judging yourself against things. Oh, God. The plague of low-rise jeans, which is, like, the worst thing for a tall girl. I understand now because my friends who are under 5'5" have been extremely vocal about low-rise pants and how they're better because, you know, they're disproportionate when they wear high-rise pants. But the just, like, body image part of it and stuff like that, like that, oh, you've got to starve yourself. You've got to look like this. Like, it was very, like, heroin chic and disproportionate as all hell. Like, low-rise jeans. Some of the shirts were super long or they were, like, baby doll tops. I know you're listening going, but I just saw that in the store. Because a lot of it is coming back again. But I feel like it's coming back in a better way, in a different, less, like, judgy way for fitting things.
I feel like, though, like, there never will be a person for every single person's body type.
Oh, no, there never will be.
Like,
No.
in the early 2000s, from what I know from the internet, it's like heroin model.
Yeah.
Actually. And
Kate Moss, basically.
yeah. Which, like, we don't know what Kate Moss was going through. If, like, that was
She
her
full on
choice.
admitted that she was a drug addict.
Yeah, but I was just trying to... I was like, I don't know for sure, like, those two things, because I've never, like, looked into it, but
Yeah.
I find that people are like, oh, there's nobody that, like, looks the same body type as me. There's nobody that has the same body type as me. I would love for somebody to have the same body type as me, but there's either, like, super skinny or a bit bigger than me, and I can't really relate to either of them.
Well, and that's the whole thing is, like, you just need to realize that you just need to, like, figure your shit out for yourself and stop the comparing. The comparing never works for anybody.
So, I have very, very low self-confidence. So, when Sarah brought up the topic, I was like, I'm great. I had a family member make a comment about my body when I was younger, and that has pretty much permanently fucked with my brain of how I see myself. So don't be shitty to the younger kids. Don't talk about their weights.
Yeah.
I was chubby because I was growing.
Oh, there's, like, a lot of people will do that. Like, you get kind of, like, obviously you gain weight and then you stretch it out.
Yeah.
And that's the way a large majority of kids, at least I've seen in my life, kind of do. And then everyone starts to, like, whittle down. Like, you'll notice, like, when they're in grade 2, usually they start to lose, like, the baby cheeks if they haven't already. And there's all those changes and stuff, too. So, to me, it's never right to comment on a way a kid looks.
There's no need to judge. Like, you don't know, unless there's obviously, like, child safety at risk.
100%.
Don't fucking say anything. Just keep your mouth shut.
I know. Like, that's the whole thing. And you know what? If a kid does have something, maybe the parent doesn't want to talk about that. Maybe they don't feel comfortable. Maybe you don't know them well enough. Maybe they just want to do stuff. Like,
none of your business.
Well, and that's the whole thing. It's just, like, passing judgment on people because it can permanently stick with somebody for, like, their whole lives.
Like, and Liam Payne came out with one, and he only has one kidney, and he had, like, kidney issues growing up, so he was really puffy from it.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, everybody would call me fat, but really it was, like, quite literally one of his organs was failing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, congratulations. We're pointing out a child being puffy because one of his organs is failing.
Well, and that's the whole thing is, like, I feel like, or at least I hope that it's a lot less common than what happened, like, when I was younger and when you were younger. But I feel like people will still say stuff like that. And it's, like, looking at somebody and saying that. But looking at somebody say something and then you're like, dude, you don't even know the backstory. Like, I had a friend who was perceived as bigger. I mean, like, I look like olive oil from Popeye. Like, I was always just, like, a little thick running around. And I was self-conscious about that because, you know what? I was tall and I had to get stuff in a different section, but it never fit me in the waist. And our mom had to modify everything to fit me because it would just fall off me. And my other friend was like, oh, well, I wear stuff and sometimes I have to get the bigger sizes, and she was puffier. But not a lot of people know that she was going through, like, chemo, and people react in different ways. And she had leukemia, and sometimes she would be puffy and sometimes she would be skinnier, or, like, her hair would look different or whatever. And people make comments, but her mom didn't want that to be, like, her personality. And, like, she was just the kid who had cancer. And which was, like, good, but also it sucked because people would be complete assholes and say shit like that to her. And I was like, you don't even fucking know what she's going through.
Well, also, like, it's not even if you have cancer, like, if anything happens, or, like, sometimes your body just doesn't know how to regulate, and you're making fun of a child or an adult. Like, hello, are you in life that you are making fun of a child?
Yeah. That's you need to fuck off and go to me. Like, go.
But, like,
thank you.
If you're so, like, oh, well, I've noticed that you've gained a little bit more weight. Okay.
I've noticed that you've become more of a bitch. Like,
I noticed that you look more haggard.
Yeah.
Cute.
Oh, how's that Botox going for you, Beverly? Like, really? I don't know. I don't want to ever stick to the same name. I always just think of the first one that comes to my brain.
Oh, I usually go with Janet.
Janet. As soon as I hear that now, all I think of is Bluey.
My God. There was this TikTok that I saw that will forever be my favorite. I think I sent it to you too. It's this chick that says, it's like a bumper sticker on the back. It says, it's like kids should always smile and kids should always be happy. And she's like, sometimes parents die, Susan. And I'm like, oh no, kids need two parents.
Oh.
It's just like, parents die, Susan.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like,
I'm not gonna lie, I saw the best fucking sticker that someone posted on like Instagram or something. And it's like this like skeleton, like rocker hand, and on the outside it says, "Go around me, I left on time." And I was just like, it's like stop writing my ass.
oh my God. Those people piss me. Like, when I see people ripping down to different places, I'm like, you didn't plan. Why are you putting everybody else at risk of getting in an accident because you chose to leave late?
There's people who leave late who drive like that, and then sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I hope wherever you're going, that person is okay, because you look like you're in a fucking hurry.
Yeah.
Like, you're about to cause an accident. Like,
Thankfully, the person that you're going to is not in
was not just in an accident. Like, there's so many different things.
Share building self-confidence. Share practical. Whenever I read this out, I always like have like a teacher.
You immediately change your voice to like what I call a customer service voice.
Oh, I go teacher voice. Share practical tips, strategies, and building self-confidence. Setting and achieving small goals, positive affirmations, seeking support. Discuss the role of self-care and self-compassion in fostering confidence. Share personal routines or practices that have helped you and your co-host.
Don't put up with bullshit.
I think that there's no way to say this is what you do in order to get self-confidence.
I totally agree. I think it's like building habits and taking things out that are poking at all of that or stopping you from having that.
I would say if you want to build self-confidence and you feel like you're not able to, delete all social media except for Pinterest.
Because Pinterest is magical. We are not sponsored by Pinterest.
Could you imagine the day? Just manifestation.
Yeah.
Pinterest.
I love Pinterest.
I personally, the person that I find that can help a lot, her name's Hannah Elise. She's about 2 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
She just moved into New York, I think about 1.5 years ago. And she like goes through about like trying new routines, and she's like, I've failed this and that's okay.
Yeah.
Or like going on like self dates and stuff.
Self dates. Oh, like the people who are like, I'm not even going to go eat food by myself. And I'm like, I didn't know that was an issue for some people. I thrive to do that.
Oh, I can't do it.
Well, and that's
terrified. I literally, because I constantly think about everybody else, and if everybody else thinks how I'm chewing, and my chewing's weird.
Oh. I know there's been a couple different people I've seen, I'm going to take myself on a date, and I'm like, man, I did that all the time. Like, I had a friend, and she would like have a boyfriend, and they would go out and do stuff, and then was I going to make food for myself? Sometimes. Like, when we lived in the apartment, I'm like, other time, I'm going to take myself, I'm going to go for a little walk. Oh, I'll grab some stuff from Urban Harvest, or I'll go to that gelato place, or get food from here. Sometimes I would just get it and go home, but sometimes I would just sit there and eat it because I was so hungry by the time I made the decision, usually.
I would usually, like, when I was in college, I would walk down to the Starbucks, and then I would go to a park and eat it, but I don't know. I was never a person that, like, wanted to.
Or like the people who are like, I don't go to the movies by myself.
I can probably do that.
Oh, it's the best.
Dinner, my table for one, and they're like, oh. You're like, God damn it.
Oh my God. People should not do that. That's so annoying.
Achieving small goals. I feel like, yeah, so removing media.
Also, like, not letting stupid people's opinions perpetuate in your brain. So, like, negative self-talk. Like, I was talking to one of the other moms, like, you don't want to say things, especially if someone says something, and they may say it offhanded because they're having a shitty day or they don't realize what it is, because, like, kids will be kids sometimes. But you don't keep repeating it. Because if you repeat stuff like that, then your brain believes it. And as cheesy as that sounds, like, and I know sometimes people will be like, I can't do those mantras where I stand in the mirror being like, I'm beautiful, I am this, I'm this. Because I feel cheesy and dumb. It's like, fine, then just don't do it that way. Or you can keep doing it until you get used to it. But just take that stuff out. Don't think what other people say is true, especially if you know if it's not true about yourself.
On the contrary, though, it is really hard to be able to do that.
100%.
If you say your house is not the greatest right now.
I like my house. Yep.
I did not say your house.
No, I'm just saying.
In general.
Like, I mean, in general, I always feel like my house is a mess. Is it dirty, disgusting, and like hoarder level on a television show? No.
But if you sit there and you go, maybe my self-confidence is because I'm not setting myself up for success. So how can you be confident in yourself and your abilities if all you're doing is having to do the things just to get by?
Yeah.
So don't think of it as like self-confidence. Sit there and go, what do I actually like to do?
Yep.
What do I want to learn how to do? And just start from there. Obviously, start off with a clean slate. If you're having a really shitty day and you want to rot and do that, don't go, I'm going to go on a self-confidence journey. That's stupid.
Unless you want to like go down the rabbit hole and research all the things and find all the stuff. And that's what you're sitting and doing.
Do it the next day. If you feel like you just can't accomplish anything, don't do anything. Don't be like, oh, well, I tried to do that. But I had a migraine, the weather was weird, and I had no points of success to even minorly accomplish that.
I know you're not being lazy when you're taking care of yourself. I think that's a big thing that a lot of people need to hear. There was also, there was a TikTok that I saw, and the girl's like, so for all of you who were taught, I mean, I feel our parents were super lenient with this. I found this really ironic because there's a lot of people I know who had this, but it was like on the weekend, their parents would be like, well, you have to get all your chores done before you can go outside. Mm-hmm. Were you one of those people? And the guy's like, like he was like duetting it. And she goes, okay, perfect. So what is it like feeling like you always have to do something now as an adult and you can't sit still? So it's like, you'll get up and be like, okay, well, I better get my house clean because say it's Saturday and that's what your parents did. And you sit and you clean your whole house on the Saturday and then you sit down or you go to do something and you're like, well, I could do this too. And then you're just constantly doing everything and then you blink and the weekend's over.
I think though, like
saving, it's like the saving things for the weekend or the saving things for one day.
I think though, if that is your way though, that you can like do fun things on the other days and like on Saturdays I clean my house and I do my laundry. I feel like that can be okay, but also in order to start doing that, you have to start off with a clean slate. So say on like the first Saturday, you're like, I'm going to clean my house.
Yeah.
I'm going to put these systems. Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm saying symptoms.
Yeah. Systems
in place. And then every Saturday, it's just like minor cleaning. I think that's good in the sense that like you're able, like on Saturdays, I just have to like wipe down the counters, wash my laundry, switch out my sheets.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, I have to do something fun and I have to leave the house.
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes if I don't do that and say like I go out on the Sunday, I'm like, oh my God, I got to do, because I was out the whole weekend or helping organize my friend's place. And I was like, I haven't done my laundry for work.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done this. I haven't washed my sheets. And I was just like, great. Now my day that I had so much fun, but I was thinking about the whole time, like when I go home, I got to do my laundry. So if it's like, oh, on Saturday, this is when I accomplish all of the things. It can also be like, on Saturday, I need to remember to build boards.
Oh, baseboards.
Baseboards.
Oh, bottom half of the wall. I was like, what?
I was trying to, I don't have a lot of baseboards, so I was like,
what are those called? What are those things called again?
They get so dirty so quickly.
I know, I think that's the big thing, but also, I know a lot of folks who are like build themselves up to being like, oh, okay, well, if I'm going to start this huge system that I've decided to implement, I have to start from square one and I'm going to do all this and I'm going to do it in 48 hours when it's really unrealistic to do it in 48 hours.
Yeah.
When you should maybe like be like, okay, I'll implement that system in a month and each week I'm going to focus on one room.
Yeah.
And then that one room is decluttered and ready to go versus like, oh, I'm going to start this on Monday. Now that's rammed through and you get like no sleep, you're tired, you're exhausted. And then by the time it gets to Monday, you're like, I don't want to fucking do it. And then shitting on yourself about not being able to do it because you like that's the whole thing, right? It's like being like, oh, now I can't do it. And it's like, well, you can, but maybe not today. Maybe you overshot that. Maybe you need to consider maybe starting that the next day, like giving yourself a day of rest. And there's just so many different things when it comes to like, well, there's like societal pressures, which like range in different things depending on like what age you are and what stage of life you're in.
But also I feel like it depends where you live. So like in Utah, it's like you're supposed to get married really young.
Yeah.
Start having a million kids. You have a house. You're stay-at-home. This is very generic. Be like you're a stay-at-home mom. I find that like based off where you live, like New York's like the busy place.
Yeah.
Obviously we live in Canada, but I can't really think of a lot of like Ontario would be like the busy province where you're getting everything done. Saskatchewan's like farmer.
I know it's very like, it depends on kind of, yeah, like you said, like the areas and stuff like that you're in. It also depends on, I 100% think it depends on how you were raised or how you chose to live your life after, like when you became an adult, whether you chose to like counter things that happened in your life or anything too, because it all depends. Like you might just constantly doubt yourself because you had, say, a parent that you really looked up to and that parent just made everything look super easy. And then you find out, like, when you're older, talking to them that, like, oh, my God, yeah, they totally hyperventilated when people came over or they did this and did this. And you're like, oh, okay. So you didn't just do all that easily. That was actually a hard thing for you.
But I think, though, like, for parents, you don't want to tell your kid every time you've struggled because you want them to still have that, like, pure aspect of life of just having fun and for things just to be there.
Oh, 100%. Like you want to allow them to be kids, but you also want to have like, in my opinion, you want to allow them to be kids, but you want to have like a realistic standard around them too. Like if your kid's like, oh, I really want to do this and this and that, you're like, that's cool. We can't do that right now. And sometimes they're like, but why? And it's like, it's not in the budget right now, but maybe next week or whatever. Yeah. They're just kind of going from there. So that way they know like, there's certain things that, like, we have to watch, but we could do this instead. And, like, because there's different values. Like, you can't, I mean, if you can, great, but there's, like, you can't take your kid to an amusement park every single weekend or do all these things every single time they want to get one because it might not work time-wise, budget-wise, anything like that. But you're not a shitty parent because you can't do that.
I think, too, like, when kids say that they want to do something, it's because, like, other people have done it. So if, like, your kid was like, oh, I want to go to the amusement park. You know, there is no amusement parks right now. Other than, like, Disneyland.
Yeah.
But
stuff like that.
Why don't we build your own little one?
Yeah.
And, like, those types of things. Like, self-confidence, I feel like I had this conversation with my friend. She just had a baby a few months ago. And she's like, so, every time I go in, and I told her this, like, last time. I was like, do you know that every time I come in, I will come say hi to you and I will hug you? Even if you're holding the baby,
yeah,
I'll hug you first, and then I'll say hi to your baby. And she's like, you know, I didn't notice that for a while. And then her husband was like, did you notice that Eve always says hi and hugs us first, and then says hi to the baby?
Yeah.
And she was like, why do you do that? I'm like, because I know that every time someone comes and visits you, they say hi to the baby and they ignore you.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, you know, when I'm, like, feeding them, it's like usually they just get up, like the guests will just get up and leave. It's like I've put my foot in now and they're like, oh, well, I'm living. And she's like, well, I don't know if it's because like, I don't know. Like it to me, as soon as I like knew that she was having a baby, I was like, hey, every time I go in again, I'm saying hi to her and her husband and then also hi to the baby.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, oh, well, I'm second because I'm the mom. No, you're not. Like, I know you, and I know your husband. I just met this adorable child 3 months ago. Like, happy, love them. But, like, in order to, like, gain self-confidence, you have to be, like, I feel like there's a very fine line between, like, I come first versus, like, I'm the only one in the room.
Oh, there's, like, and that's the whole thing is, like, when the narrative gets put out there, someone does it generally with good intention, and then it gets misconstrued. Like, it'll be... like people who were like, oh, like I'm a girl boss. I'm going to beat expectations and I'm going to climb that corporate ladder. And then that evolved into if you're working and you don't have these high up jobs, like you're not doing enough, like you're failing women as in society. And then it was like, oh, if you have the job and you're being successful, but you don't have a side hustle, you're failing at society. Like there's all those kind of things like where it has like evolved over time. Like you can just have one job that you go do the job and then you go home. You can have 2 or 3 things if you want that are going and you're balancing them if that keeps you happy, because there's some people who just like to go and that's the way that their brain works, as their body works, and that's what works best for them. And it's like not everybody needs to be girl bossing. Not everybody needs to be an Instagram mom.
Not everybody can be.
No.
Like if the whole world was just Instagram moms, who's doing the surgeries?
Well, my face.
Who's actually, like, who's being the lawyers? Who's being the, like, cops? Who's being firefighters or the ambulance drivers or, like, anybody like that? Like, I'm really glad that that's what you want to do, but probably 80% of those people don't want to do it, but they just saw that someone did it and they're like, oh my God. And I feel like there's so much saturation in media. That's why I'm just like, just delete it. If you want self-confidence, just delete media.
Yeah.
You can still take pictures and not post them. You can still write notes to yourself and not post them.
Yeah.
Just, like, remove that whole concept of it. And if someone's like, oh my God, did you see that so-and-so posted this? 9 times out of 10, I don't.
Oh, I get a lot of people who do that. They'll be like, what did you see, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? Because I don't go on Facebook, and a lot of people around my age, like, are on Facebook. Like, it was really funny how someone was like, oh, I sent you a Facebook request. And I was just like, oh, really? They're like, yeah. I'm like, I don't go on that. I don't even have it on my phone. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I basically have it because, like, I had it before. And some people do, like, invites through there for things. That's the main reason why I have it. And other than that, like, my husband's on it, and he'll tag me and stuff. And that's essentially it. Like, it'll be very rare that I'll just, like, sit and go through it. And I'll go on sometimes, and I have, like, this person sent you in this, or this person tagged you in that. I'm like, oh, cool. Or someone's like, oh, is it okay if I post pictures? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then I'm like scrolling on like Instagram sometimes, or like I'm on TikTok. I'm like, I wonder where the fuck they put the pictures. And I always forget about Facebook.
I don't know. I feel like it's just like, if in order to gain self-confidence, you need to find what the root is.
Yeah, because there's usually something. It's either something that somebody said stupidly in passing, or something that you've suddenly decided to compare yourself to, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. Like when you're sitting there and you're like, I need to redo this. Like, do you want to redo this because you're bored? Do you want to redo this because you saw something else? Or do you want to redo this because you finally have the budget to do that?
And you might need professional assistance, and that is okay.
Well, that's the whole thing is like there's so many people who are like shit on things. Like there's professional organizers. There's
therapists.
Oh, I was like, there's therapists. There's like, but there's people who do things. So say if you're one of those people who does a million things and you're shitting on yourself because you can't get your house clean or because you can't do laundry, there are services for that. And you shouldn't judge yourself for utilizing them. You're not lazy because you're utilizing them. You can afford it. And I think that's like a big thing. If you can figure stuff out, or like if you're buying food, my favorite was that realization of like, oh my God, remember when you were a kid and your parents bought food on Fridays and you were like, they're so cool. This is so much fun. We're celebrating it's Friday. And then as an adult, you realize they bought food on Fridays, possibly because they were completely fucking exhausted and couldn't even think of what to make for dinner.
Also because it's payday.
And also for a lot of people, because it's payday. And that's the whole thing is you can make these realizations about a lot of things, but also just like the constant comparison. And it's like Eve said, it's so bad when people go on and they'll compare themselves for different people on like Instagram or like TikTok or whatever. And I'll see people and I'm like, oh, like that's a cool style, but I'm not going to like change my whole life and like follow that whole person, because that may be what they perceive online. Like a lot of people might be Dolly Parton online, but they might be non-Dolly Parton when they're not online, if that makes sense. Like Dolly wears a costume. She has a wig. She does her whole thing. She comes out, does her thing, and then other than that, in real life, apparently, she looks nothing like that.
On that note, thank you for listening to Breakdown Perfectionist.
Oh, that was a weird way to end it.
Don't be the Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
Lord be the Dolly Parton. We are available on all major podcasting platforms as well as all major social media platforms.
Whoop.
If you would like to message us on any of them, we do answer. You can also email us at burnttimeperfectionist@gmail.com.
And please smash, like, and subscribe.
Smash.
Smash that subscribe button.
Oh, I didn't know. I was sorry, what?
Hit the little bell.
Hit that little
Share it with a friend.
and always stay warped and twisted as ever.
Peace.